Texas Congressman Troy Nehls, along with Georgia Congressman Mike Collins. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Congressman Nehls, to you first. As a former member of law enforcement I know you to be, what do you make of the Houston police dedicating absurd amount of time and resources into making sure the proper pronouns were used for the dead shooter?
Chris, thanks for having me. I think it's sad, that's just a few miles away from my district. I look at this individual, this strange bird, whether it's a female, you look at a picture, she kind of looks like a male, refers to herself as a Jeffrey. I wonder, a little transgender here, and has she ever even gone through some of the transition, I guess to say, but all sorts of problems, a criminal record, assaulting a police officer, forgery, El Salvador, as you said, had the detainer put on her. I think a little later on we're going to find out she's probably maybe just been deported before, probably found a way to come back here. But the idea that she could, she, whatever it is, is voting in elections in Montgomery County, Texas. And if she's not a citizen, we've got to do something about securing our elections in some of our counties around the Houston area, because that's unacceptable.
Yeah, Houston, we have a problem. Congressman Collins, shifting gears on you to the shameful Senate. While America was sleeping, the Senate worked tirelessly, dedicated to passing a bill, $95 billion of our great-grandkids' money to foreign wars. The bill allocates zero funding for U.S. border security, real verifiable border security, despite the FBI warning of an imminent terrorist attack on our homeland, courtesy of those open borders. This foreign adventurism bill passed with the help of 22, air quotes, Republicans. Is this bill dead on arrival in the House?
Good Lord willing, it is dead on arrival, Chris. There's things right now that can be done that don't cost a dime. Joe Biden has the ability to do that. We've even posted it outside the office here in D.C., and it's 8 simple things. It's the things that President Trump did while he was the president, and helped secure that border down there. It was the safest, securest border in history. And Joe Biden, in his first day, some of his actions was to undo those things. And we don't need to spend $95 billion on anything. And of course, we just need to make sure that that thing is dead once it gets to the House side over here. Chris, I would like to make a quick comment, though, on what you were talking about with Congressman Nehls. I'm going to make it a point that we need to put out there that all these transgender people need to have a living will, so that if they die, we'll know what pronoun to call them, and we won't have this problem anymore.
Yeah, Congressman, that's a fair point. As for me, I'm just going to go with science. I'm going to go with biology because, I learned that in high school. Most of us did. Apparently, some members of the media and members, your Democrat colleagues, that kind of skipped that course, I guess. Meanwhile, Congressman Nehls, Speaker Mike Johnson is slamming the Senate for failing to secure America's own border before sending $95 billion around the globe to other countries. Congressman, we know securing the border is not a matter of legislation, but it's a matter of congressional will. Illegal immigration is illegal, but our government simply just ignores the law. I've suggested a trigger or a check on the lawlessness of our current federal government. If they abandon the fight to secure our border, then the states get automatic authority to stop all illegal activity on the border. Any other ideas cross your mind? And if so, why hasn't the GOP proposed real and verifiable solutions to our illegal border?
Well, in the Constitution, it's the federal government's job. It's Congress's job to secure our nation's borders. When they fail to do so, as they have here over the last 3 years, you have governors like Abbott and some others from Texas that are invoking this invasion clause and doing what they can to keep the residents in their individual states safe. So I applaud their efforts. I think it's a fantastic job. Now, in the House of Representatives, we passed H.R. Do. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's a very safe, secure border bill. We sent it to Chuck Schumer months ago, and he's done nothing with it because the Democrats are not serious about securing our southern border. The Democrats are talking about border security right now in the Senate because Joe Biden's approval rating's at 33%. The American people, it's their number one issue over the economy even, is the southern border. And they got to try to find him, throw him a safety vest here to say, hey, let's get some Republicans in the Senate to work bipartisan. And then when it goes to the House of Representatives, It will fail, and then we can get the dishonest media, the greatest threat to our country, to go out there and say, it's the Republicans in Congress that don't care about our southern border, which is horse manure. Joe Biden could fix the border today through executive order. He refuses to do so.
And I think the entire country ought to just... Can anybody else remember the last time the United States Senate, Republicans and Democrats, actually stayed up all night to pass a bill that benefits our people? But they're willing to do it, $95 billion for other countries, folks. Congressman Collins, in just a couple of hours, the House is set for a third try to impeach the architect of the invasion, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Two of your GOP colleagues, in parting shots at their own voters, voted to save the Biden regime apparatchik the last couple of times. What's going to make this vote different in your mind?
Well, we're going to have Steve Scalise coming back tonight, and I think that's going to throw the numbers in our favor. But, I would say to my colleagues that didn't vote for this, all you have to do is look at the news over the weekend. When you have criminals out there that are crossing that border, and Chris, I was just in Arizona late last week, and the sheriff down there at Cochise County told us he doesn't have an immigration problem. He's got an organized crime problem. You've got criminals crossing that border, and their whole objective is to continue doing the criminal activities that they were doing from wherever they came from. Mayorkas knows that, and he knows how to fix that problem and shut that down, but he's not willing to do that. And therefore, he needs to be held accountable. Good Lord willing, we're going to do that tonight, and we're going to send him packing.
Yeah, well, a couple of your colleagues actually leaving Congress, so I guess that's when your devotion to your voters ends. You can actually vote your heart rather than what your voters want. Congressman Nehls, I have one more question for you. Calls are mounting for the release of the January 6th security tapes. This after new reports reveal that a bomb-sniffing dog searched a car outside the Democrat National Committee hours before this pipe bomb was discovered. Many are asking how a trained dog and his handler missed a pipe bomb that was allegedly there. There would be a lot more transparency if all of the tapes were released on that day. So can you tell us what the holdup is?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this whole sham committee needs to be looked into. I think, we have the House admin, the chair of oversight, is doing a good job trying to expose the January 6th committee for whether it was a potential destruction of evidence, eliminating things, hiding things. Benny Thompson has a lot of questions that he needs to be asked and answered to, because what we have discovered and all the research, and I've read the entire transcribed, the manuscript, 500-some pages. It's very, very long. And I tell you, Donald Trump's name is mentioned 4,200 times. No Ray Epps in it. It was all about Donald Trump. So the sham committee needs to be looked into. We need to release all of the tapes. Of course, that needs to be done. And I think he's doing what he can to work with Speaker Johnson and try to get the American people the transparency that they're demanding, and rightfully so. We need to have transparency for that, as well as the January 6th detainees that have had their rights violated now for some of them over 2 years.
Yeah.
Right, and if these
Chris,
allegations of destroying evidence, gentlemen. Oh, yeah, sure. If you can, let me just redirect to you, Congressman Collins, because if it turns out that evidence was destroyed on the sham January 6th committee, this illegitimate committee, if it turns out that Democrats and Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger destroyed evidence, will you commit to me, Mr. Collins, that you and your colleagues will make sure they face the full brunt of American justice?
Oh, you bet. And that's kind of what I wanted to weigh in on with what Troy was just talking about. It's the fact that, Congressman Loudermilk has already been out there reporting that there are just thousands of documents that have been deleted, as well as film and tapes that are missing from that day. So, sure, we need to investigate and find out exactly who pulled the Hillary Clinton playbook out and hold those people accountable, 100%.
Yeah, well, and again, just to stress for everybody out there, the deletion of those files is illegal. Congressman Nehls and Collins, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the time, as always.